All right. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the special meeting to order Wednesday, June 10th, 2026 at 3:30. Roll call.
Mrs. Horvath?
Here.
Mr. Siebert?
Here.
Mrs. Bullock?
Here.
Mr. Wallace?
Here.
Mr. Whiting?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, this time stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I'd like to read the Little Miami mission statement. The board believes that it is the responsibility of the school system to ensure that each graduate is college and career ready. To these ends, an environment of high expectations and opportunities shall be created that fosters scholarship and citizenship and develops within each student the ability to become a productive and responsible member of society. Go ahead and make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move.
Roll call. Mrs. Horvath?
Yes.
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Mrs. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Whiting?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, make a motion to go into executive session to approve conferences within the public body's attorney concerning pending or imminent court action by Division G3 of Section 121.22 of the revised code. Court action is pending if a suit has been commenced. Court action is imminent if it is on the point of happening or impending.
I move.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Whiting and Mrs. Horvath. Discussion. Go ahead and vote.
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Mrs. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Whiting?
Yes.
Mrs. Horvath?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
3:32.
right, I will call us back from executive session at 4:57. Next item is a superintendent's report and recommendations.
Yes, thank you. I ask for the board's approval of Resolution 26-014.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, this resolution provides flexibility in providing years of experience for our intervention specialist only. This is due to the number of open positions and the lack of qualified candidates that we're finding. This, a little bit of flexibility will hopefully entice more people to come to the district.
How,
It is a state requirement, right, that we have so many? Yes.
It is part of IDEA that we provide services to our students with special needs, yes.
and I assume, how is this being taken by the other teachers?
Well, you know what? I don't know that yet. Right now, if we don't get enough intervention specialists, we'll have to go to contract positions. Contract positions are more expensive and typically less quality. And so when I say that, there are companies out there that will provide, they have intervention specialists that we will actually
Oh, okay.
contract and bring them in for us because we have to provide the service. So our hands are a little bit tied. We don't do this unless we have to. It's not going to make everybody happy, but at the same time, we have to serve our students. And right now, we're in times that it's difficult sometimes to find people. So this particular person that we are looking to hire tonight, she has tutoring experience that typically we would not utilize in her years of experience, but she's making more than what her step would be here. And so this would bring her to our district to give her a couple more years of
What type,
experience.
I'm sorry. What type of, I guess, liability? Are we looking at a grievance being filed or anything like that? Have we gone to the bargaining unit to ask them about this, if they're acceptable with this?
So I spoke with Mr. Like about the resolution. He is our LMTA president. I mean, he's not dancing about the resolution, right? But he does realize that it's the superintendent's discretion on hiring.
Okay, so it's not going to be one where all the teachers that have tutoring experience is now going to go back to try to get bumped up on the steps?
I would ask if I were them, but it doesn't mean that we would do that. We are trying to get people to come into our district. We're going to have a transportation conversation in just a minute. And we're going to be talking about that too. You know, how can we get these more drivers coming in? I'm looking over at Vicki, but how can we get more drivers
Right,
to
but-
come in the district? That doesn't mean that every driver that we already have, we're going to go back to
No,
them.
no, no, I'm
So
just-
it's the same type of thing that right now, we have to entice people to come into our district. And this is a way that we have thought that we would try.
Yeah, my understanding is it's a function of the time that we're in. It's not, it's reacting to the reality that the pool of people that we have in terms of intervention specialists is smaller, and those who are coming in a lot of times are not as qualified. So it's not something that I think anybody is thrilled to do, but it also is, for this time and place, something that makes sense. Not all the time, but in this time and place.
Yeah, no, my thing, I agree we got to do something to bring people in. I just, like, again, my concern is just the matter of what type of liability are we going to have for the teachers that have been here for a while. They're like, hey, how come I'm not coming up on this steps? I have tutoring too. And the next thing you know, we're looking at 57 grievances, whereas a workaround as opposed to this to say, hey, we're hiring intervention specialists with a hiring bonus of $10,000
And I think that
to avoid us from doing that.
I would think it would be the same thing. I would think then we would say, well, why didn't I get a $10,000 hiring bonus when I was hired?
Because
I
it
mean,
wasn't offered back then.
It doesn't matter what we do. It's the same thing. This wasn't offered then either. And so I think whatever we do, it's going to cause that issue. But right now, we have a shortage of people. So
I agree. Again, I guess without beating a dead horse or whatever, just my concern is that we're going down a slippery slope with giving favoritism to this person. They're going to do, you know, I don't know who this person is, but I don't know if they have a
either,
relationship
to
with
be honest.
anybody. They live in the district. I just think it sets a bad precedent. I'd rather see the hiring bonus, so we can say, hey, well, we didn't offer a bonus during your time. If you want to resign and try to get rehired, maybe, throw the dice where they may be, but that's my concern.
It's written in a way that restricts it to hiring, though, right?
It is
It's just-
restricted to
right.
hiring, new hiring, and only for intervention specialists, because right now that is the area that is very difficult to find qualified candidates.
All right, any more discussion? Vote?
Mrs. Bullock,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Whiting,
Yes.
Mrs. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Siebert.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I ask for the board's approval of all items under personnel.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, Mike is busy hiring people for the school year. You'll see that the person that was just, that we were just talking about is on that list. I just want you to note that whenever we were to use Resolution 26014, it will be noted. So the board will have access to any time we use years above, that it will be, you can see where it says per Resolution 26014, so you'll have that knowledge ahead of time, just so you know.
Shame on me, I should have asked this. What type of dollar amount are we talking? What's the difference?
So currently, for the 26-27 school year, she's going to be making, not here, at her current
Well,
employment.
I'm not putting her business in the street on the current one. I'm talking about here.
Okay, so the difference between the steps that she would be allowed to, or to, logically would be on, would be 61,000, and the new step would be 65,000. So $4,000 difference.
Okay. Thank
There's
you.
change in there. I mean, more than change. There's-
Sure.
but-
Thank you.
I don't have any other discussion for personnel unless you all do.
Roll call?
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Whiting,
Yes.
Mrs. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Siebert,
Yes.
Mrs. Bullock.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, I ask for the board's approval of a boys' basketball field trip as attached.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, they're going to be traveling to Lexington, Kentucky to participate in a basketball showcase. This is not an overnight trip, but it is an out-of-state trip, and so that's why it's on an overnight student trips form, but it is only an out-of-state trip.
They did this last year, didn't they?
They do it, yes.
Every year. Good. Discussion? Any more discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Whiting,
Yes.
Mrs. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Siebert,
Yes.
Mrs. Bullock,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I invite Vicki Greger to the table and to have some conversation around our transportation department. I have a few handouts for you tonight. I want to start the conversation tonight talking about a recruiting team that the Transportation Department has put together. And this recruiting team is doing great work already. So the recruiting team is composed of Stephanie Messer, Shirley Jump, and Dennis Erickson. And then there's some others that will be used as needed, but those are the three main members of the team. Stephanie Messer is the captain. She's already brought some great ideas, and the team is already doing a great job. They've attended 2 events so far. They've attended the Morrow Antique Car Show and the Antique Fire Apparatus Show. At both events, multiple people were interested or knew somebody that might be interested in coming to our transportation department, which is exactly what the
Excellent.
team is for. So I believe, and I don't know that these numbers are correct, but I believe it was 7 people at the Morrow Antique Car Show and 5 people at the Antique Fire Apparatus Show, that either they were interested or they knew somebody that might be interested in our transportation department being a driver. We met last Friday. KK is creating some flyers and banners and pins that say, "Ask me about my job," for the recruiting team to use. We'll buy them matching T-shirts, green and gold, that say something about that they're the Little Miami recruiting team or proud Little Miami driver. I don't think we have exact language for that settled yet. And then KK is also looking into some yard signs to put in people's yards that say, you know, proud little Miami driver, ask me about my job, or come be a proud little Miami driver, or something of that nature. So we're looking at some great things just to continue to get the word out. One idea that they had was to do a transportation open house, and I'll pass these around. And that is just some information about the open house in general, about how it can strengthen families' commitment to our transportation department, reduce first week transportation issues. That's a huge item. The first, it's actually better now because we stagger our starts, but the first days of transportation is really hard when you don't know the kids and you've got all of these kids on your bus and you're trying to get the right child to the right home. We're hoping that that'll help with that. Improve communication and trust, promotes transportation safety. That's something else, especially as we have more and more cultural differences in our district. They don't all understand the rules of our school buses. And so, for example, a student where a bus is getting ready to pull away from a bus stop and they're running down the side of the bus to try to knock on the door to get on the bus is super dangerous, right? But we have people that do that. Is that correct, Vicki? And so at this open house, we can talk about those safety rules with families and students all at the same time, and instead of just talking to them about with the students, because our drivers don't get to get in front of the families very often. So we think that would be a great thing. We can also promote our need for drivers there. Now, the thing about the open house is we would be paying our drivers. Our contract specifies that if we call in classified staff, that we have to pay them a minimum of 2 hours. So we would have to pay our staff to come to that. Think it would be well worth it for that open house. The information that you have is information that Stephanie Messer provided as some ideas behind the open house. So it hasn't all been exactly solidified, but thought they were great ideas and thought it would be something that we might want to try. Something else that we were talking about is onboarding support, and something that drivers have to do is they have to, Vicki, correct me on any of this that I'm wrong, they have to study a text to pass a CDL, and then once they get their CDL, then they can start their onboard training. There's been conversation that we have some people that never make it to passing the test, and if they had some support, maybe they would pass the test a little bit easier. So it was suggested that we pay $25 an hour with a max of 4 hours for them to study to pass that test. So that would be $100 a driver coming in, a max of $100. And then maybe $25 an hour for a max of 4 hours for on-site support if they needed help with the, questions about the test, or questions not really probably about the test, but questions about what's in the booklet that they would be tested on maybe. And then, so that would be a maximum cost of $200 per new driver. And feeling like that might provide some support that would get them, across that first phase finish line. And that's just to get the temporary CDL. Phase 2, I'm going to pass out my next. Phase 2 is when they start training with an OBI. And this takes time. My understanding is it's about 20 to 25 hours is an average amount of time that it might take somebody to do this. And what I just gave you is what some surrounding districts pay for their drivers to go through this training. So there's numbers on there like a $16 an hour, a $2,000 hiring bonus once they've been here, $20 an hour, $25 an hour. So there's different, and these are all areas in our districts in the area. You can see where they come from. So we were thinking that maybe we needed to, right now we pay around $10.70 an hour. So we're way off on this. So this is something that we need to bump up so that we can get people again across that second finish line, which is becoming a certified CDL with a school bus endorsement. Is that right, Vicki?
School bus passenger endorsements.
Yes, and so we would like to see that dollar amount average to go up to $20 an hour. That is quite a bit more than we're paying now, but I think it's an average of what everybody else is doing. That would give us an average cost of Phase 2, about $500 a driver. That would give us a kind of because it's around 20 to 25 hours. So we might have a driver that takes more than that. We might have a driver that takes less than that, just depending upon their previous experience. In that average range, it would be about $700 a driver to help them across the finish line to become a driver. So we feel like that would be a positive for us as well. Any questions on those items?
So, I mean, these ideas are fantastic. And they're coming from where?
So they're coming from the recruiting team,
So the existing bus drivers.
our current bus drivers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So the next thing that I have is preparation for is there any concerns with any of the items that we've talked about so far? Any concerns with an open house or the?
Does the recruiting team, do they get paid when they go to the
They
open
do.
houses? Good.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah, it's a paid position. It's paid while they're doing their work. It's not a salary, it's an hourly position when they do their work.
Good deal.
Any questions on any of those or any hesitations with any of those? Okay, so the next page is preparation for the 26-27 school year. So what we're doing in order to prepare for the 26-27 school year is, again, we've got our recruiting team helping to recruit drivers and sub-drivers. We have our onboarding support that we talked about, the open house that we talked about. We contracted with First Student for our routing system, and First Student is,
Wrong turn.
this is just I'm just reading from my. Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I don't see it either.
I'm giving you something else in just a second. We have hired First Student to create more efficient, to analyze our routes and hopefully create more efficient routes for us. Now, by doing that, there's a pro to that and a possible con to that. When we, right now, if we have bus drivers that call off work, more than we have standby drivers or subs to cover that, what often happens is we take routes and we combine them somehow so that we can still cover all of the routes. If we make our routes very efficient, that might take away the ability to combine routes. But at the same time, it might save drivers, right? So we might have drivers that can be, so we can fill those standbys. When we were at the end of last school year, we had 1 driver position that was open and 4 standby positions that were open. Am I right on that, Vicki? And so by making our routes more efficient, it would free up some drivers that could maybe fill those standby drivers, which would be wonderful, unless they don't want to be standby drivers, so they go to another neighboring district where they can get a full-time route. Then we would have efficient routes, but if we had too many people that called off, we wouldn't be able to combine routes, and it might cause us a problem. So either way we go there could be pros and cons, right? And that's with life and everything. So my concern is for next school year, when too many drivers call off on any single day for whatever the reason, it puts the department at risk for canceling routes. And we found that last year. This is a list of the canceled routes and the number of drivers that were off on any single day that we canceled the routes. So you can see that on Wednesday, February 4th, we canceled route number 70 in the AM and bus number 67 in the AM and PM. We had 11 drivers off and 3 aides off that particular day. Now, on any particular day, we have, Vicki, how many standby drivers altogether if they're all filled?
7.
7. So if we had super efficient routes and that scenario happened, we could still be in trouble even if all of our positions were filled. Over to the right, it says not available to drive, and it says no Fergie on that particular day. So on that particular day, what it meant is, for whatever reason, Fergie couldn't drive. Michelle Ferguson is in the office. So on that particular day, and I don't have this information, but possibly our mechanics were driving, possibly we had other people driving a van. Dawn can drive a van from in the office. We have a maintenance person that can drive the bus, so perhaps he was driving. So this list over here, when it says no, it's these extra people that aren't bus drivers that are driving routes for us because we don't have enough extra bus drivers for the amount of people that call off on a day.
So they're not taking away from the seven standby?
Oh, they're not
No.
taking away from the 7. Well, there weren't 7, Diane, because we couldn't get
Yeah.
all of them hired. There were 4, 3. But no, these people never take work away from a bus driver or a van driver.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant the 7. I thought we had 7 standby drivers. And so I'm saying if none of them were available, you'd have to move to these people.
That is right. But then it takes these people away from their current job.
Yeah.
You can see the next day we had 11 drivers, 2 aides, and a 1.5 day of a van. The next day it was 13 drivers, 12 drivers, 11 drivers, 13 drivers, 11 drivers. So you can see that there's a direct correlation with the number of canceled routes, and the number of people not available to drive also affects this. So when a route is canceled, one of 2 things happens. Either parents or neighbors or friends or somebody drives the students to school, or the students don't come that day and they don't get educated that day. And as a primary purpose of our district is to educate students, we have to get them here in order to educate them. And that's my biggest concern right now moving into next year, is canceling routes in the transportation department and children not coming to school to be educated. And so I have some notes down from my page that says just brainstorming, how do we hire more subs? We've already got a recruiting team. We just hired a sub just the other day, or we're going through the process right now of somebody who wants to be a sub. So that's great. Our more efficient routes, hopefully we'll be able to fill all of our standbys. But then that means that we might not be able to merge routes when needed. Vicki and I talked yesterday about an attendance bonus to try to get people to come to work more often. And then the last one, and I know nobody wants to hear this, and I don't want to talk about it really either, but do we contract out some sub-use that it's only utilized in place of canceling a route? Something that Sierra and I have talked about in the recruiting team is that we really want to move to a goal of our transportation department being 100% self-sustaining, so no contract services. That's what we're looking for in the district, but until we get there, I feel like we might have to subsidize with it. Vicki, I'll let you have any input that you would like.
Well, to do that would require an MOU from the union, and that's not going to happen. I would,
To do what again?
to bring in another company to drive our buses.
Okay.
It's just
Just for subs?
One
Yeah.
driver, like one substitute driver, even with that?
from a different
from it-
company.
From outside? Okay.
So, we've been going down this, as people call it, a slippery slope. We were not bringing in anyone, then we brought in a director. We're not bringing anyone in, then we bring in a router. We're not bringing anyone in now to bring in subs. That's just heading the wrong direction.
I agree. I agree. Out of these, go on. These 11 drivers or 10 drivers, do we have certain drivers that are just chronic drivers that are always calling off?
So I'll
Are
give you
these all
another
valid?
sheet.
Not that are these all valid, they're sick, surgery, valid excuses?
We had,
Because isn't there a number that you get to where if people are just calling off for a personal day, that they can't do that if we're already out sending drivers?
right, well, we had, I believe it was 3 drivers out for long-term for surgery. We had 1 driver out on administrative leave for at least half of the school year. which then puts us down to 4 already. We get 3 personal days a year, and once you're done with your personal days, and to answer your question, yes, it has to be less than 8% of the fleet taking personal days. So that, we calculate that to 6. We can have up to 6 people on personal. But most of these absences would be sick. And there's nothing in the contract to limit.
So what I just gave you is Article 8 of the OPSI contract. It talks about sick leave. Basically, it talks about the, when sick leave is misused, to go through a process. And by the time you get through the process, and it's in the contract and we follow this, and we are following it more now than it has been in the past. That is, we've had that conversation. But oftentimes, by the time you can get to anything that is more of an incentive to not do it, you're at the end of the school year, and it all starts over the following year. The attendance incentive that is currently there is in Section 8 on the back of that page, if you want to look at that as well.
Really quick, how many drivers are there total?
We have
I think 62.
drivers, then we have, do you have number on aides? We have aides, and then van drivers, we have, I believe, 5 van drivers.
How many teachers qualified for the current attendance incentive? How many?
Bus
or
drivers?
Bus drivers.
Um,
Last quarter, let's just say last quarter.
I honestly don't know,
Sure, to be honest.
Do you remember that, Mike?
but you can't miss more, than a day to get that incentive bonus
Per semester, yeah.
per semester, right?
And this has been an issue for how long?
Being short,
Like having extended number of people off, like 11 drivers, 10 drivers?
we had a bit of a problem with it last year, but not to this extent. So it's snowballing.
So
But
not
I
like,
think-
it's been like 2 years, the last 2 years.
And when you say last year, Vicki, do you mean the previous year, like you're
Yes, the
still in
previous
this
school
year?
year.
Yes. So when you say last year, you mean 24,
I'm
25?
sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things acting against the department and a lot of things not acting within the department that I think contribute to this, like, the environment, the lack of recruitment, follow through, communication, different things, that can be attributed to this increase.
Right.
Oh,
Do
great.
you think any of those have been addressed
I do.
yet?
I think bringing in this new supervisor will be a huge plus. All of the bad, I don't want to say bad vibes, but bad is being resolved as we go on. I think that we're getting to a good place. And, yeah, we just need to get people in to fill these spots where we can be calm.
No.
Because there's been a lot of stress.
Absolutely. No,
Short.
this has not gotten any attention until recently. This issue's been
Correct.
going on for 2 years. We had issues in August, and I was part of that last board. We didn't do anything. We met in January, and we talked about great ideas, right? Never presented anything. So now I feel like it's a priority. We have enough parents screaming to get the administration, to get the board, to get us moving, to get this done. I would agree 100% with the recommendations to get attention, but definitely, I guess what I like to see is what timeline are we talking about implementing these? I mean, I think what we've done is
Well-
enough talking. Let's put something down as what we're going to do and when we're
The items
going
on
to
the
do it.
front page, the recruiting team is already implemented. The open house is already being planned. The onboarding support, we can, if the board is okay with that, we can't change this board meeting, but at the June board meeting, I can specify that we approve that, and go ahead and add that to our banners and everything that's going out to help with recruiting. So those are all things that are on their way. Yeah.
How about a bonus? How about for new hires and increasing the,
Well,
I'm
there
sorry,
was
go on.
another- and go along with you, and a bonus, a special bonus for like someone that's already CDL trained, already
Yeah.
ready to go. I think we should do
Yeah.
already, because that saves us from,
we can cherry pick.
well, I mean, if you offer a bonus for it,
Yeah.
do it already.
That- I would-
What type of bonus would you like to provide?
I guess, without seeing the financial reviews, where do you stand on those, Terry?
Actually, I was talking to Mrs. Bullock today, and got an email the other day from Mr. Briscoe. I'm emailing him back, but we'll have everything wrapped up, everything sent to him by the end of July at the latest.
7 months after the board approved, we'll get it done. And I say that because
Correct.
we're wanting to make decisions, because I would like to see, bonuses not only for the new hires, but I'd also like to see bonuses for those that go to work every day. Honest, truth be told, that's not a whole lot of money, 125, hell, you can make that in a day door dashing or something. I mean, it really doesn't give a whole lot of incentive for somebody to muddle through.
Especially for the restriction for only being able to miss one day. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, we can maybe talk restrictions, but I was looking at bonuses
Well, I mean,
as well.
for it being so, you can only miss one day, it looks like it should be a bigger
How,
return.
okay, I guess without knowing how many people took advantage of the bonus,
Yeah, they're actually not even due yet. They're due the upcoming pays for this current year, and I'm not sure about last year.
so you'll be able to get the ones from fall, spring?
Yeah, but I'll tell you for this year, yeah,
Okay.
and
I
for
would-
both semesters.
I would say, just to venture a guess, and you can help me out,
Mm-hmm.
no more than 10.
Yeah, it's low. It's always a low number.
So I guess we can probably look at the bonus being a little bit higher than knowing that I assume we would incentivize more people to call in, but I would certainly, $3,000 or something, I would think. I'm just spitballing here, but the amount of money we're wanting to pay to hire administration-type positions here, that, truth be told, I think we need to focus on getting our transportation squared away first, but that's just me. So I guess in June, is it possible that we can run some numbers as far as how much a bonus of, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, how much that would be, so we can kind of,
So now we're talking across the district for that bonus? Because we have problems with
Yeah, that's
attendance
my
every
question.
place. So, I mean,
we're talking about,
that'll be a very different number.
no, I was talking about transportation.
Just transportation.
Just to remember, the contract covers all classified staff.
Yeah.
So if you increase the attendance incentive,
Then if you do it for all classified staff, why are we not doing it for certified staff? Because,
Yeah, those are my
Well, we
questions.
just did it for the resolution for special ed, or for intervention specialist positions.
Right.
And I imagine if we do the same type of resolution for bus drivers, that would probably meet that requirement, correct? Because we didn't do this for all the teachers, we just did this for the
for
five
intervention
vacancies.
specialists.
Yeah.
If we did something like that, put a resolution in just for the
Yeah.
bus drivers, I think we probably could do that.
What I'm saying is that bus drivers is not the only place that an attendance incentive would help us. There are other areas that attendance incentives would help. And so in our education, teaching staff, intervention specialists right now are the most difficult to find. So that is singled out. But our attendance isn't only transportation, where a bonus could help with attendance. Does that make sense?
It does, but
So we only want to focus on transportation.
yeah, because as you said, the important thing of our district is to bring children into school to be educated. That's our job, right? And if we can't get them to school, then we're not able to do our job. We can have 15 intervention specialists, but if we can't get the students here, that is a problem. So that would be, again, where I think we would look at
I
for
just think it has to
transportation.
be realistic monetarily. I mean, something that can be sustained over time. Otherwise, I think it's just a Band-Aid.
And potentially widen to beyond the bus drivers as well. I mean, I think we have to do the financial implication of $2,000 or whatever across the board, just so that we understand the worst case if everybody in the union decides that they want to try to go for that kind of an incentive. I understand we did it as a resolution.
That's
I understand-
$4,000 for that teacher. And if we did that for every single teacher, we have 300. What's 4,000 times 300? And that's what the implication we're looking at
1.2.
with that as well.
I understand, but that's a hiring bonus, not a attendance bonus.
And that's
Yes,
a
that's a
one
different-
situation, and we're looking at
We're looking
Many,
at
many.
62 drivers and however many other people in that classification. I don't know how many other people there are.
Total classified?
Yeah,
I'd say around buck 80, somewhere around there.
so you're talking about
190.
potentially 180 people covered under that
Yeah, don't quote me.
same term, Section 8, that has that attendance incentive.
Well,
Once it's there, it's going to go through negotiations for LMTA. I
Right.
mean,
And then it's
it's
gonna-
not going
then
to
it's gonna
be.
widen.
That's right. So it's going to be
So-
across the district. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea, it's a great idea. I'm just saying we have to look
idea.
at it from a perspective of bigger than just one department.
When it's an attendance incentive, I think we're going to have a difficult time limiting it to just one particular group of employees.
I think we can limit it by just doing a resolution limiting it.
No, I'm saying, but that limits it just to that
Yes.
one group.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be a harder thing to do when it's already covered by a union contract term.
We can agree to disagree on that.
Is
but-
there anyone that has knowledge of another district doing something that has worked such that they don't have attendance issues? And you can point to something or a couple of things, and this is why they don't have attendance issues. Is there anyone who has experience or knowledge of that?
Just, I've talked to a few, and I think that the culture was pretty toxic for the last 6 to 8 months. The last year, let's be honest, the last year was pretty toxic down there. And I would probably venture to say a lot of people were probably rather DoorDash for the day than to go into work. But I think we have some stability with a new person coming on board. And I think we'll get the, I guess, I don't know what to call it, cliques or the good old boys, and I think that network will go away in more of a, I guess, don't take offense, but I think more of a professional environment where it's not going to turn into just the
Are
gossip
we wanting
center.
to let that have a chance to play out and see if having the new supervisor is all that's necessary? Or are we wanting to do something else in addition, in case that's not the answer?
I think you need both. I think it's two-part. It's getting the people in, and it's keeping the people you have.
Good people, yes.
So you need to, yes, you need to offer more to bring the people in, because there are school districts that are offering humongous signing bonuses. Loveland just put up, yeah. Is that what you?
Right there, yeah. They're gonna, 2,000 sign-on bonus, 1,000 payable at 6 months and 1,000 on your first year. And then the bus driver, they get a little something themselves for referring.
Yeah, $500 to refer.
So a sign-on bonus, I mean, that's different than the
Yeah, that's actually
incentive
not
thing.
new, maybe
But
they're just
then what I'm
advertising it. It's
saying-
on your list.
Yeah. Oh, good,
Right,
good.
so you
on this
need that
list
up
too.
front.
Just had a picture of
Yeah.
it. when-
But then you also need something to keep your people wanting to come back.
Right, and
you
you're
know?
saying that's largely due to the supervision, as it has been.
In part, but money always talks.
Right, but for getting them in the
But
door.
yes.
But for sustaining them,
The supervision will improve it.
have more to do with who is in charge,
It will improve it,
sustaining
yes.
piece.
But, you know, there's very little incentive to have perfect attendance in the contract right now.
For just 1 day for 100.
For 1 day for $125. When you could, be off for up to 2 days, you're getting paid and,
DoorDash, I mean, make more money doing that than I guess, what if you run some numbers, Terry? Just look at like 1,000, 2,000.
That's what I just was jotting this all
Just so we
down.
can-
Yeah.
Because we won't know anything.
Yeah, no, I was jotting it down I was thinking just drivers, all classified staff can give you a big look of here's where a minimum and here's like your worst case
I
scenario.
would go ahead and throw in certified as well, because it
Oh, it
will
will.
go that way.
It will.
Through negotiations, it will go that way. So just so that we have a clear picture.
Yes, attendance incentive.
But definitely a sign-on bonus.
But I think we probably need to wait on that attendance until we look at the, maybe get more clarity in the financial review, as well as the, what do we call it, our transportation audit comes back.
Yeah,
That'll,
when
I
is-
mean,
Yeah.
I-
Hey, Dave, all
that's
you need to
what I
look at is my
was wondering.
forecast.
Yeah,
What's that?
I don't
Just look at my forecast. That shows you exactly where we are, where we're going, and everything.
yeah, but if you can kind of break it down for me, kind of dumb it, Barney Rubble it style for me, where you do the one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So I don't have to go
So-
digging.
Do we know when we'll have Mr. Staples' report?
He said he would have it before he leaves. His last day, I believe, is the 16th or
Oh,
17th.
I thought it was already.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to go
I'm
back
sure
to just
he'll
a
have
question, say that again, Mandy.
I'm sure he'll have great ideas, and that
I'm
will
sure he
kind
will.
of help us in
He's been
guiding
great.
this. Yeah.
I will tell you that I still have a concern that if we do not have enough, if the recruiting, if we do not have enough drivers at the beginning of the year and we have to cancel routes, it's going to be a negative. And I just want to make sure that we're all okay with that negative, because I feel like we need to address that negative here just in case. And I hear that you guys do not want to do that, and that's okay. But if it happens, I shouldn't say when, if it happens,
I'm not sure I'm agreeing with your hearing we're saying no.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I think the only thing the only hesitation I'm hearing is about the attendance bonus.
I was talking about the contracting subs as a backup to a backup.
And I understand that that's going to be a difficult negotiation.
I agree.
However, there is some leverage potential with sign-on bonus or other things that could come along.
100% agree.
You know, push and take and give and, so, yes, I understand it's going to be difficult. I understand it may be impossible, but everything
Right.
that's impossible has an outcome at some
We
point.
make the impossible happen.
There you go. That's the transportation model,
So
right?
Vicki and I talked yesterday about a give and take, right? About giving on the attendance bonus and taking on a backup to a backup. These subs would never be used if people came to work. So it wouldn't be something that we are pushing. We are actually pushing to have less absentee to where we would never have to use that.
So I don't think anybody's walking away from that. I don't hear
Okay,
anybody
I'm sorry,
saying.
I thought.
I
am.
I-
Yeah.
I do get a little concerned with, because now we have first student doing routing, right? So what's their objective? Like, if they are doing the routing, are they going to?
What's first
possibly
student's
make it-
objective?
Yeah, well, are they possibly making it a door to where?
Oh, absolutely they are.
They're drivers.
They're a
because-
business, right? But they don't have that choice. That's the key part of this.
What if they're
We
setting?
have that
Exactly,
choice.
yeah.
We're the
The board
only
can say
ones
no.
that can do that.
Yep.
But as a business, I would absolutely be thinking, I want to get my toe in the door. I mean, that's what every business does. But it's not their choice, it's this table's choice.
Right, but I'm just saying, it's like, they could set up the routes in a way, or have they started that yet? Do you know? They started working on the routes and
I believe so.
Well, that's good. But they could set it up in a way to where it's like we're needing more drivers than
Set
what
us
we
up to
bring.
fail.
Well,
Yeah, and that's what my concern is, what their objective is. Like, and obviously, like you said, they're a business and they're wanting their own drivers, I'm sure, to come on board. And nothing against first student, but like, that's a concern, and I'm sure it's a concern of many of our drivers, you know?
yeah, I agree. It is absolutely a concern of many of our drivers, Mandy, and it is a concern that I wish that I could squash all the way, but I've not been able to do that. And it's because I'm having conversations like this, but the conversations like this, I am looking out for the welfare of our students and our families, and I know that that sounds like I'm not looking out for the welfare of our transportation department, but I'm happy to discuss attendance bonuses and to discuss hiring bonuses and that sort of thing, but I am concerned that we have students that are not being educated because we can't have a backup for when there is no other way possible that we can't bring somebody in to do a route. If the routes become less efficient, we know that. Our drivers will know that. They'll tell us. And so that's not a, pardon me?
You'll need to listen to us.
Yeah, and that's what.
Well,
That's not what's happened in the
And
past.
that's what my concern is that making sure that their voices have been heard, because that has been the issue, part of the issue.
I think it has and it hasn't, because in the past, we were using those inefficient routes to stop from routes being canceled. So we were, when we had a person that was called off, which was the last person that we didn't have somebody to fill that, then they started combining routes. Am I right on this, Vicki? They started combining routes so that we didn't have to. Now, I'm not saying that's the best way, but that was a function of the inefficient routes, that we could then combine routes so that we didn't have to cancel it and put it on the backs of our parents. So, so we did know that there was some inefficiency in our routes, but we also saw that inefficiency was creating opportunity for routes not to be canceled. I think we're going to try a different way, which is creating efficient routes. And like I said, as long as people go into those standby positions, and as long as not more than the standby positions call off, that's a lot of ifs, then we'll be okay. But if that's not the case, we're canceling routes all year again, and that really bothers me.
Well,
Could we,
here's-
About getting rid of the 1 hour time limit. You know, I know we enacted that, I don't know when it was, 2019, 2020, something, it was
Around in there.
somewhere around there. And, I mean, I was in the school district, this was prior, before we were big, and I had a drive an hour to an hour from school. Now, I think parents might be more apt to be like, if they had the choice, like, hey, would you want your child to be on the bus a little bit longer and have access to the bus, right? Or you can then choose, and then they can make up their own. Have we ever thought about like getting rid of that?
Yeah, we can get
time
rid of
limit?
that. When we put that into place, we had 3, 4, and 5-year-olds on a bus 3.5 hours, or 3 hours a day. About an hour, we had routes that were about 75 to 80 minutes long. And so that's a long time. I mean, if you think about it, for a child to be on a bus, 2.5 hours, let's say 2.5 hours if we're going to, that's still a long time to be on a bus every day. I feel like that if we can get it done in an hour, I think an hour is a long time. 2 hours a day to be on a bus every day is a long time. But I feel
just
like
during the
that
short
is,
term.
yeah, but I think that is, I don't know, an acceptable amount. We can make that whatever you want to make it. I mean, we can have kids on a bus 3 hours a day if that's what we need to have. When we combined routes, I'm guessing the routes probably did extend some.
No
maybe
route went more than 15 minutes longer.
But if they were already an hour, so that would be an hour and 15 minutes would have been the max then.
is there a way to be able to see the costs associated with the subbing out, or with, it's for student, correct?
Uh-huh.
Both when you don't have to access them and then also when you do have to access them? Because I'm assuming we're paying even if we're not necessarily using them, or it only kicks in when we're using
Yeah,
them?
I don't know that, Diane. That would be a good, I can ask that question. We're not that far because I've not contacted them because we haven't had this conversation yet. So I don't have that
Just being able to
answer.
see the costs associated with that versus the costs associated with some of these signing bonuses that we're talking about, I think that's a good piece to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally sympathize with where you're coming from, because nobody wants to be in this position again, and nobody wants families not being able to get their kids safely to school. No one, including the bus drivers.
Right.
So this is a very difficult situation to navigate.
This is self-inflicted, 1,000% self-inflicted. I've been on the board for 2 years. In my first year on the board, it was never mentioned anything about buses being canceled or anything else. Last year, it was only brought to our attention, I believe, because parents were complaining about athletic trips being canceled. The board never discussed anything until January, when we had a special meeting to talk about transportation. All these promises, we were going to go back, and we're going to come back with all these grandiose ideas and all that, fell silently until today. We talked about hiring, we talked about job fairs. I'll be honest, that job fairs, I think, will work if they're done properly, but putting a hiring sign on a bus in a parking lot without any flyers or any balloons or anything to draw attention, people aren't going to know what's going on. And I love the fact that now we're talking about, we put ourselves in a tough position, and I think we owe it to our drivers to get out of this tough position without going outsourcing. Because I'll be honest with you, the way it looks, the optics don't look good. The optics look like we were letting this thing fail so we could bring outsiders in. And I think that is the wrong message, and I think what we need to do, though, is, like I said, have a meeting every single month until we fix it, because we're done talking. We got to start actioning it. And by golly, if we do an action and it doesn't work out, we'll try it again. But we got to be done. I mean, we had 7 leads we have, right? We have 7 leads. I'd like an update on that, where we stand, maybe a weekly report, every 2 weeks, send it to the board about how many people have applied, how many people, where do we stand in the pipeline to get drivers created? Because right now, if we're talking about buses running in middle of August, it takes a long time to grow a bus driver, and I would venture to say we are probably right now up against the wall about if a driver will say, I want to drive today, and being able to run their route properly in mid-August is probably cutting it close. Realistically, probably not going to happen.
Well, we still have time as of right now,
Okay?
but they would need to be ready to start.
Right.
The next certification class, there's usually one a month, and that's part of the whole process, is going to the county certification class.
Okay, the county has, okay, that's what I was going to,
And I know I'm attending the next one, which is July, middle of July.
all right, yeah, if you could do me a favor and send me, Mrs. Morgan, or the board, a list of how many applicants, how many interviews, how many hires or potential candidates, I should say, they're not hired, potential candidates we have, maybe every 2 weeks, and kind of do that along with what other hiring events we've done. Because I think we're finally giving this priority, and I think you're going to find out the fact that we're here talking about priority and we're going to start every 2 weeks getting some updates, you're going to find out that it's going to probably fix itself. But sitting here, high-fiving, going home, and then waiting for September to hear all the stuff that got canceled, that hasn't worked.
I think you'll find once the bus drivers were listened to, because
Agree.
this combining of routes was proposed a long time ago. But once it came about, which would be the last few weeks of school, you'll note the cancellations went way down.
Yeah, they felt valued.
When we combined those routes. And I would say that really you owe it to our drivers to let us fix this.
And
Agree.
that's why I was concerned about first student coming in and doing the route, because what if they do the routes different than other drivers, but because they're wanting to make it more open for their drivers to come in.
Right. I mean,
That's what we need to be looking, keep an eye on.
is it a thing that could happen where once the route, I know time-wise we're in a big crunch, but once the routes are done, we could have a committee of 2 or 3 drivers that look over the routes
Yeah.
and say,
The fact
this is
check.
doable, this
Yep.
is, because, if for no other reason, the router is not as familiar with the roads as some of our drivers are. And we have drivers that grew up around here. And they could look at it and say, oh, no, you could do it this way, this way, this way, and cut this completely out,
So
Yeah, that's a
just
great
for
idea, Vicki.
clarity,
That's already been discussed a little bit, but that's a great idea. I believe that they have already kind of thought about individuals that would be really good at doing that are from the area, veteran drivers, that sort of thing, that absolutely would be a positive to do.
so just for clarity, how many drivers do you need, and ideally by what date?
depends on what they do with the routes. As if they stayed the way they were, we would need 67 to have finished last year, the way the routes were last year. We would have needed 67 drivers.
So how many do we need to hire?
We have 62
So we
right
need to
now,
hire-
so we
don't
would
know that
need,
Because we don't have the routes. We won't
Yeah.
know how many we have to hire until we have the routes. But remember,
And we're getting the routes you
But
said on the
we do
16th?
have,
You count standbys,
we
Vicky?
do have the standby positions that are there, so we're looking at least 4 drivers that we need to hire.
And we're getting the route information. Was that part of Staples' review when we get in the route? Or when do we anticipate getting the route information?
Routing, I don't know if it will be part of his review or not. His review was about the department in general, so routes could be included. But what we have to remember is that any day that more than 7 drivers call off, we don't have anybody to drive.
Okay. And that's, we talk about,
And now, we have Fergie and Don, so pulling from other departments. But that is also problematic to continue to pull from other departments. So that's where we've got to get this attendance to where we don't have, so many people off on a day.
and then what would be the recommendation to try to get the attendance down?
What would be the recommendation? Culture, first of all. I think culture is the biggest, you see it across the district. Wherever there is positive culture, attendance is higher. So I think that is absolutely a piece of it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you think the culture has improved?
It,
Because that's one.
it is
that has been our
improving.
concern.
Under Dave, with Dave's leadership, I think people have found someone that they can rally behind, that provides stability.
And leadership, right?
Right, right. And they know, he treated us with respect. Was always telling us, that we were professionals.
You'll stand up for them.
Right. We need that person to follow, to lead us. And that will improve a lot of things.
Okay.
I just want to say something about First Energy. I've heard about them for years. They're the last people I want in here. I agree with you. You have some solutions that'll work. If we need to give some bonuses out, if we need to give the whole group a bonus for not being off enough to actually hire first, any of those things, those bonuses are going to work. So I like all of your suggestions because they produce solutions. A lot of the other things going on here, we're just spinning our wheels. We're talking about this, we're talking about that. But your solutions will present results, and thank you for suggesting those.
There you go. Wayne and I agree. There you go.
How about
In the
that?
meeting right there.
There's something else I have thrown out. I threw it out in negotiations, but I would just throw this out there. I had talked about a buyback on sick days. We're, by law, required to get the number of sick days that were given. But another incentive that could be is if you don't use a certain amount of sick days, you can get reimbursed for those, maybe half. You could come up with like half the pay, like, I'll return to you for me, it would be my 8 hours of a sick day that I didn't use for maybe 4.
And that'll be, at the end of the year, you balance it out as opposed
That's
to
what I'm asking,
waiting.
like, is that yearly? You're thinking
Yes.
each year? Okay.
Yeah, so we're
I
not,
think those are nice ideas, but again, that is something that could easily spread to everyone wanting the same thing, and, rightly so. Someone who's thinking, okay, so I'm going to be penalized because I show up for work, and so I don't get, when I have sick days, I don't get that money back, or an incentive that's in that direction. So I love the idea and the point that you're trying to get to, but I just don't know if that one would be realistic because everyone would want it.
I just think we have to go back to what's the purpose of transportation? What's the purpose, right? Is the purpose of getting the students to school so they can learn, as we discussed? Then our job is to do what we can to get them to school to learn. Bottom line, we can have a gazillion teachers, we can have all these specialists, but if we can't get the kids to school to learn, we're failing. And what price are we going to put on that? I can tell you, I lived in the district when we didn't have transportation, okay? That was a pain in the neck. And you can see what happened this year when you wake up at 6 or 7 o'clock and you're finding out what buses are canceled and all that, just jumping through hoops. I would 1,000 be in favor of that. But But what I like to do, instead of just high-fiving and saying grand ideas, can we start, and Terry, is it possible that you could maybe work with, is it Vicky? I'm sorry, Vicky?
Yeah, it's Vicky.
And try to put some numbers together, because I'd love to start doing something maybe in June, start moving
Oh,
forward.
yeah, we can put numbers together on, like I said, good case, worst case scenarios and so on. Now, you won't know, like with hiring bonuses, it turns out if you hire like 5 people, then yeah, obviously if it's 2,000, that's 10 grand. But if you do it across the board, I can throw those numbers out there too, what it would be to everybody.
Without keep beating a dead horse, because I think we got some great ideas to action on, can we have another meeting, maybe after our next meeting in June? Maybe go to the cafeteria or excuse me, go to another room, or we can stay in here and just kind of turn it back into a work session again to kind of see where we stand so we can get something going.
Well, definitely after Mr. Staples' report.
And that's going to come out on the.
I think Omar is going to be looking for a special meeting anyway in July. We talked about that today,
Yeah.
so we could put those two pieces together pretty easily.
I don't want to go to July. I
If
wanna
we
do
are
this in
doing a
June.
hiring bonus.
But we have a meeting in a couple of weeks in June already.
Yeah. I want to talk about transportation again in
some
2
of the-
weeks to see what we have, so we can start putting numbers with it.
Didn't we agree that some of these things in this Phase 1 and Phase 2 plan for hiring we're waiting for actionable items in June?
Yeah, so I was going to put those on the June agenda.
Right. So,
To go ahead
so
and
some of
start
these
them.
things are
Yeah.
already going to be enacted by the June thing, according to what I think we asked her to do, right? The Phase
That
1 and
was my
Phase
thought.
2 for the hiring, for
Yeah,
the.
but I was talking about starting to put numbers down.
If you're going to offer an attendance bonus, that needs to be actioned on pretty quickly.
The
Or
attendance.
not
and the-
attendance
and the
bonus,
new
a
hire.
hiring bonus.
Yes.
Hiring bonus, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
that's what I'm saying, that needs
And
to
then
be
the
done.
bigger picture of attendance bonuses, the report and all the other kinds of things would maybe a meeting after the June meeting. But I think some of these suggestions that are being offered here, like the $20 an hour,
Yep.
the
$25 an hour for the.
$25, the 4 hours, and those kinds of things,
We're going to,
we're going to action on in June, I think. Is that right? Is that my understanding?
That was my understanding,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, and
So it's not like we're not doing anything till July. We're going to be doing, that's half of the formula, right? That's the
yeah,
hiring.
I think all that's great. Only in the interest of playing devil's advocate and making sure that it's a full discussion. Is it ever possible that first student is brought into the picture for the moment to kind of put out the fire and make sure we are solid in terms of, until we hire what we need and then they can disappear? Is that actually something that could happen?
I'm not interested.
I'm interested in talking about it.
No, I
This
understand.
is
that.
talking
You're-
about
You're
it.
asking me, and I'm saying, I'm not interested in entertaining that. Are you interested, Wayne, in
I don't
entertaining?
want First Energy for anything.
So the first student too. David, how about yourself?
first
Would
student, I
you
don't
be
want
interested
it
in
for anything.
entertaining it, or are you not interested?
I'd be interested in entertaining it only from the perspective that if we have competing objectives here, right? And if one of the objectives is that we have to get them to school and the drivers thing, the recruiting thing doesn't work, and we don't have drivers, the incentive thing doesn't work, and that doesn't come off, and we don't have drivers, and we can't get them to school, then we failed in our initial objective.
Okay, so.
Well, I'm interested in having my question answered and you shut it down. So
No, no,
if I
no,
could
no,
have
you're
that
saying-
question answered as part of the full picture, that's all I'm talking about.
What I'm saying is we'll entertain, who do you want to answer that question?
Whoever has the answer.
Well,
Isn't it up
Regina
to,
I'm
answered,
going around getting people to the answer.
Regina answered it earlier when she said a objective over a period of time that says we're 100% independent at a particular period of time of any third-party vendors.
So the answer is yes, we could have them provide us with subs until we have the people hired and in place that we need, and then we could stop the relationship. The answer to that question is yes?
Well, the answer to that
Would be
question
yes,
is you
and
have
I-
one vote, possibly 2 votes is the answer.
No,
The
it's an
answer-
opinion,
You
it's an opinion
again
about whether
shut
it's
down
possible.
my opportunity to hear an answer. I'm just looking to find
Yes,
out.
that is possible. So in my mind, they would never come into the district unless we were ready to cancel her out. So yes.
But I'm not sure, we talked about this, I'm not sure how that works, because honestly, I was approached about that kind of option and by Mr. Staples, and just for fodder to think about. And it's my impression that you would contract for a certain number of drivers, and they would be present to be used. And then say like 5, first student, we need 5 drivers. And then, okay, we only need 3 drivers now. But they would still be present, you would still be paying them to be available, is what I got the impression.
Yeah, and I think
But that's just
understanding
mine.
how they're paid is an important piece of the picture.
Absolutely.
But I think anytime you, and I've said this before, anytime you let them in, it's harder and harder to get them out.
Okay, and you're basing that on, because you've seen it play out in other districts with
Yes,
them?
I've seen other districts where they have become private, and then you can't get them, it costs you 2 or 3 times as much to get them out of there.
Yeah, they
To
failed.
get your district back.
Those districts failed in planning, a bit from a business standpoint, to have an exit plan, because whenever you go into something like that, I'm against outsourcing, to be honest, because it costs more in the long run, absolutely. But you have to have an exit plan. If you don't have an exit plan, like when they used to sell their fleets and stuff to, like, say, Peterman or First Student or whoever, who's got that kind of money, those multi-millions, to buy a fleet back? So that's rule number 1, never sell your fleet. Absolutely never sell it, but you always have to have an exit plan to get back out, because otherwise, the companies have you with different contracts.
But you're talking about when you privatize.
I'm talking
it.
overall, I'm not talking about subs, I'm
Like,
talking about outsourcing the whole
From
thing.
my perspective.
It's, you have to have a plan.
It was thought very negative to bring David Staples in. David Staples did a great job while he was here, and he's leaving because that was the plan. We planned, we needed somebody right now. We didn't have anybody. We continued to look for somebody until we found somebody. We're going to do the exact same thing with the router. We're going to let them analyze our routes, create our routes to be more efficient. They're going to do all of that.
And train our.
And train our
Yep.
people.
And then get rid of them.
And then we're going to get rid of them, and that's the same thing that I'm thinking about with the sub-drivers. I don't want them in here. You guys know, well, you know how much of a control freak I am. I would not have control if it was another company, and I like control. That's terrible to say, but it's the truth, right? And so this router that we're having, I have no desire for them to stay year after year after year, because I want to have a router that I can say, I want our routes to be no longer than an hour. And if they work here, then they might argue with me a little bit, but in the end, if that's what we decide, then that's what they get to do, right?
I
And
would like to know what happened in these other districts that they couldn't get out from under it.
they privatized the department.
Yeah, the whole
Very
thing,
different.
yeah,
It's different than hiring subs.
yep.
So their whole drivers,
Step by step,
Yeah,
Moving there.
moving there, and that's the fear.
that's what we've done. That's exactly what we've
yeah,
shown.
that is the fear, but I will say that what we said we were going to do with Mr. Staples is exactly what we did, because we don't have the desire to privatize the department. We do have the desire to make sure that our children are transported to school every day. That's where we are.
I think
And if we can do that and transportation gets it done and less people call off and that is a beautiful thing. That is what everybody wants. If that's the case, no sub-driver would ever be used because it worked. So that backup plan is only there if it doesn't work. They never touch our district if it doesn't work, if it works. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is that it's a win-win. We want you guys, we want the drivers to drive all of the routes. And it doesn't permit them to come into the district unless we're not going to be transporting children to school. And that's when it comes in.
Did that answer your question, Diane? Awesome.
I think
Awesome. All right.
another thing to think about, just in going that direction, is it kind of sends a bad feeling toward the drivers that we're not being trusted to fix this. That's been the thing all years. Let us come together and let's fix this.
Yep.
Well, how would you?
Give us a chance to fix this.
I hear you.
So give a suggestion on how the drivers would have fixed the ability to cancel these, and what would be different to ensure that it's not gonna, these cancellations are not gonna happen again? What would they
Well-
have done in these cancellations to, you say you want to fix them, so
Right.
give an example of what you could have done in
Hold
order
on.
to fix it.
Guys,
Well, I mean, like I said, once we were able to consolidate those inefficient routes, it did cut down.
Permanently consolidate them, or just on the day that they're canceled?
No, that was a permanent thing.
Okay,
We took a route and dissolved it into, broke it up into, I think it was 3 different routes.
And that was per the drivers.
And, yes, and that freed up that driver, then that driver was used wherever they were needed as a sub.
and that was done?
That was done at the end of the school year.
Okay,
But that was what I was saying was proposed long time before that and was not done. And that's the results you're looking at right there.
okay, but,
Also, I would say that administration had the ability to monitor the attendance that, like Regina said, it was not done. It was not, the attendance policies were not enforced up to a point until, I don't know, it was April maybe?
or enforced fairly.
And so once those, once those would be implemented and followed across the board, that's going to make an impact, So, and then increasing the efficiency of the routes. For instance, my route went up Middleborough to here. There was another bus that drove past my kids and started picking up here and went to here. Why? I had 15 kids on my bus, on a 77-passenger bus. That's what we're talking about when we talk about inefficiency.
and that, well, I mean, who knows the reasons why, probably because of time or something, who knows what the other restriction was, but, and is that the job? I understand it's sorry, I'm digging into detail here, but that's the job of the router,
That's what the
To
router's
know
supposed to
that.
be doing.
and,
And that's why I would like drivers to look at that
Okay.
once it's done.
so we're gonna get the quote-unquote more efficient routes being reviewed by the drivers in order to try to feel more confident that they're actually executable. But that in itself doesn't necessarily get to the point where if we have cancellations that have to occur, that the drivers are gonna be able to solve the cancellation problem.
Well, you have drivers that are going to buy into,
So they're just gonna be more committed? I mean, it
that's
just,
our goal.
okay.
That's our goal. That's the goal of the attendance incentive that we've talked about. That's the goal of the structure of the department. That's the goal of the follow-through with the policies already in place. There are a lot of moving parts that could go together and improve that by itself.
Prevent the cancellations.
Yeah, and then bring in the people that we need. Bring in our new people.
I think that by them just being listened to and heard and actually putting something into action speaks volumes to the drivers. Like, I'm
Absolutely.
being heard, like they're taking my suggestions.
Absolutely.
I think that builds right there.
Let me ask a question. What would it cost to hire one first driver for a year?
I do not know.
No idea.
60,000, 50,000, 70,000? I don't know. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, $50,000. For that kind of money, we could offer a $500 bonus for every driver you have who has perfect attendance. And we can also give out a $2,500 signing bonus and still save money. There's money in working around and getting rid of first.
Yep.
That's just one driver.
Agree. No, anything, yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. I
Thank you
mean,
for including me.
Yeah, we're going to leave that on a note with Wayne and I agreeing. Does anyone else have anything else?
I wrote that down. I'm-
Please do, write that down. I want that in the minutes.
You want down the minutes?
I do. All right. The next item on here was curriculum discussion. I added that. I don't think there's a need to discuss that. Does anyone feel a need to discuss it?
I don't.
All right, we will take that off, and we will move to adjourn. Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Hold on here, I'm going. All right. Let's see here, adjourn, that was Diane. Do we have a second?
Oh, I'll second, that's fine.
Mrs. Bullock,
Roll call.
Mrs. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Siebert,
Yes.
Mrs. Bullock,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Whiting.
Yes.
Thank you.
I vote
Did I
yes,
have
too.
another letter, Regina?
Mrs. Gregor.